Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to remove the front brake pads along with the front brake disc from any Audi A4 B7 out there. To begin, what you'll have to do is to lift the front wheel up and remove the wheel completely from the car. This is a very easy job. It can be done by anyone, anywhere. You can do it even in your garage or in your parking lot or in front of your house. Doesn't matter. You'll have only to lift the car up and remove the wheel, and after that you will go ahead and remove the rest of the pieces which you'll have to remove to replace those parts. So from here, just follow what I'm doing. Right now I'm going to remove the front wheel, and after that I'm going to show you guys what you have to do next in order to begin this job. So after you remove the front wheel, you'll have to remove the bolt which is securing the brake disc mounted to the hub. But as you can see on this car, the little bolt is broken, so I will not have to worry right now about it. But later I will have to drill a new hole and I will have to make a screw and put a new bolt which will secure the brake disc to the hub in the future. Okay, moving on, what you have to do, you'll have to remove two bolts. You'll have one right here and one right here at the bottom, which is securing the caliper mounted to the caliper mounting bracket. And after that, you'll have two bigger bolts, which will hold the caliper mounting bracket mounted on the hub. And also you'll have to remove this ring. You'll have to remove this metal wire, which is holding the caliper from not moving around when you are pressing the brake disc and the brake pedal itself. So as you can see right here, it's a little cap which you'll have to remove, and inside there will be the screw. And as you can see on this side, the little cap is missing, so we'll not have to worry about it. After that, you'll have to remove the brake pads warning sensor. So as you can see, this brake pads on this car has a wear sensor and it's mounted right here. You'll have to turn it anti-clockwise, and after that you have to remove it from the mounting bracket, and you'll have to disconnect it from the cable which is going into the ECU of the car. So from here, just follow what I'm doing. I'm not able to do it with your hand, but I will show you guys later how to do it exactly on your car. Then as you can see, you'll have this bigger bolt right here, which you'll have to remove, and after that you'll have another bigger bolt underneath, because if you don't remove those two bolts, you won't be able to remove the brake disc itself, because the brake disc it's mounted underneath this caliper mounting bracket, and if you don't remove it, you won't be able to remove the brake disc from the hub. This is how it's looking. I hope you all can see it very clearly. After that, I'm going to clean everything and make it in a very good condition, and only after that I'm going to put it back on the car. To remove this type of connector, normally you'll have to use a flat screwdriver and push the pin from the middle. You'll have to push it down and it will release the other side of the connector. And normally it will come very easy, but as you can see in my case, because of the grime and dirt, it's coming out very hard, but eventually it will come out, because this is always how they are coming out. And make sure you don't push it very hard, because in some cases this can break very easily, because it's very hard because of the time, because it hasn't been replaced in a lot of while. This is probably very easy to break, and as you can see, it came out eventually. I didn't manage to break anything, so this is very good, and this is how it's looking. You'll have to install the new one after that back in this connector, and from here you have to use the flat screwdriver and put it underneath this metal wire, and you'll have to remove it from the caliper. Moving forward, to remove the caliper from the caliper mounting bracket, you'll have to remove the plastic pin which is covering the bolts from behind the caliper. You'll have to use a flat screwdriver, and after that you'll have to use an M7 and put it on a 10mm socket and remove it from the caliper. This is the M7 which I'm talking about. This is the tool which you'll have to use in order to remove the bolts from behind the caliper. And as you can see, I'm installing inside the 10mm socket, and right here I'm going to use my tool, my normal tool, and I'm going to remove it from behind the caliper. And this is how you'll have to remove the caliper from the caliper mounting bracket, and after that you'll be able to remove the brake pads from inside the caliper. And don't forget, you'll have to push the piston back inside the caliper, and to do so you'll have to use a special tool which I'm going to show you guys in a few seconds how to use. After you remove the bolts which are securing the caliper to the caliper mounting bracket, you'll have to put a flat screwdriver behind the caliper and push it outside, and eventually it will come out like in my case did. And as you can see, this is how it's looking from the interior. This is how the brake pads are looking. they are worn out, they have to be replaced, and normally you'll have to figure out a way to remove this connector because the previous mechanic put it right here, and it is a little bit difficult to remove it, but I will remove it in a few seconds. So this is how it's looking. I recommend all to not let the caliper hang onto the brake line. I always recommend all to take a metal wire like this and hang it to the front shock absorber or to the front spring or any other way. Just don't let it hang on the brake line, because in some case it can break the brake line and it will create even more problems in the future. As you can see, this is how it's looking in my case. From here I'm going to remove the caliper mounting bracket, and after that I will remove the brake disc. So as you can see, to remove the caliper mounting bracket, you'll have to remove the two bolts from behind. Like I told you at the beginning of this video, you'll have to use a 21mm socket, and in my case I'm going to use my impact gun because it's very easy and fast like this. So as also, everything came out very easy on this car. I didn't have to struggle a lot. This is how the caliper mounting bracket is looking. I will go ahead and clean it later. This is how the hub is looking, and this is also how the brake pad, the brake disc itself is looking. And from here I'm going to clean the hub very good. I'm going to use this metal brush, and I'm also going to clean everything and put it back together. So as you can see right here, I already cleaned everything up, and I always like to spray some copper paste over the parts, over the metal parts, because in this way it will prevent them from seizing up in the future, and it will also help me to remove them easier in a few years after that if I also have to remove it again. Okay everybody, so this is how it's looking. Those are the new brake pads which I'm going to install back on the car, and also this is the new brake disc. Normally, like I told you earlier, you'll have a special bolt which will secure the brake disc mounted to the hub, but in this case I tried to remove it and I wasn't able to remove it. I didn't have the special tool to extract the broken bolt from inside the hub, and I'm going to put it back like this. But this is not a problem. This is only securing the bolt from not moving around when you are going to install the wheel on the car. And we are going to install it back in the same way as we disassembled everything. And from here, just follow what I'm doing. Okay everybody, so I replaced the caliper mounting bracket, and I also replaced the brake disc on this car. As you can see, this is how everything is looking right now. And right now what you have to do is to take the caliper and you'll have to push the piston back inside the caliper. As you can see, for a few minutes I did let the caliper hang on the brake line, but I did this on my own risk. So from here what you'll have to do, you'll have to take a special press which will help you to push the piston back inside the caliper, and this is the press which you'll have to use. This is the caliper, and you have to also use some WD-40 and put some WD-40 underneath the seal from the piston inside the caliper. So as you can see, you'll have to lift the seal from the piston. Make sure you don't break the seal, because if you break it, the dust will go inside the piston and it will scratch it and it will not let it work anymore as it should work. And as you can see, I always like to put some WD-40 just to make sure that everything is lubricated and that everything is going smooth inside the caliper. And from here I'm going to take this pressure press. This is how it's looking. You'll have to put it inside the caliper and you'll have to turn it to the right side clockwise, and you'll have to push it until the piston from the caliper will not go inside the caliper anymore. And after that you will know for sure that the piston is pushed back and you are able to go ahead and put the brake pads back on the car. And on some cases, if the brake fluid is on max level, you'll have also to remove from brake fluid from the fluid reservoir, you have to use a syringe or something like that and remove some of the fluid, because if you put new brake pads and also new brake discs on all the 4 wheels from the car, probably the fluid will go back inside the fluid reservoir and it will oversplit from the reservoir cap. So always make sure you verify, always make sure you know how much fluid you have into the reservoir, and if it's too much fluid, if it's over the max limit, you'll have to remove some of the fluid, and after that you can go ahead and remove and replace the rest of the parts from the car. And as you can see, this is how you have to do it. This is how you have to put the brake pad, and you'll have to put it through the metal pipe if you can. If you can't put it through the metal pipe, you can just go ahead and put it into the mounting bracket and connect it, and from here just put everything back together as it was at the beginning. This is how you have to install the brake pads on the caliper and also on the caliper mounting bracket. And I also recommend all to take the slide pin or the screws which are securing the caliper to the caliper mounting bracket and lubricate the top part of the slide pin. Never lubricate the threads, because if you do lubricate the threads, the caliper will become loose in a short period of time, and the caliper will disconnect itself from the brake line and also from the hub, and you will lose the braking system. So never lubricate the threads when you are working on a caliper. Only lubricate the slide pin, only lubricate the part on which the caliper will slide back and forth, and that's it. So as you can see, this is one screw which I'm going to put back, and this is the other screw, and I'm going to show you guys how to lubricate it. So as you can see, this is the screw. You'll take some special Vaseline and you'll have to lubricate only this top part. This part it's sliding on the caliper, so you'll have to lubricate only this part, and after that the threads will not longer be lubricated. So don't lubricate the threads, only the top part from the screw. And from here you'll have to tighten everything together as it was before, as it was at the beginning, until you feel that it's snug. Don't overforce it, because you will destroy the threads. So right now, after you put the screw back in the caliper, you'll have to put the rattle spring, you'll have to put this metal wire back in the caliper at the front of the caliper. You'll have to hammer it just a little bit until you see that it's secured, and after that you can go ahead and clean everything up together. I'm going to use some brake cleaner, some special brake cleaner, and clean the caliper and also the brake disc, and that's it. This is how it's looking. This is also how you'll have to do it on your car. Never let the Vaseline or any grease on the brake disc, because if you do so, the brake pads and the brake disc will not work properly and you will not have a very good braking. And that's it. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. See you next time.